Video 21, Part 17A of 25, Importance of the Estimate Activity Resources Process. The objective of this video is to present the importance of the Estimate Activity Resources Process and the problems that arise when it is handled inappropriately. The Estimate Activity Resources Process is the second process in the Project Resource Management knowledge area and is related to the Planning Process Group. Please click the like button. Subscribe to my channel and share with others. Thank you. How important is the Estimate Activity Resources Process in the PMBOK Planning Process Group? The Estimate Activity Resources Process is critically important within the Planning Process Group. It is not a minor, bureaucratic step but a foundational activity that directly influences the project's feasibility, budget, schedule, and ultimate success. It is the bridge between scope and reality. Imagine the thought process in a project plan. In the first step, you define the activities. You have a list of tasks. For example, pour the concrete foundation. In the second step, you estimate the activity's resources. You determine what and how much is needed for each task, such as 2 concrete mixers, a crew of 4 workers, a construction supervisor for 8 hours, and 15 cubic meters of concrete. And in the third step, you estimate the duration and costs. Now you can accurately estimate how long the task will take and how much it will cost. Without step 2, your duration and cost estimates are just guesses. Estimate Activity Resources is the crucial bridge that turns a theoretical activity list into a practical, actionable plan. The importance of activity resource estimating is amplified by its strong integration with other planning processes. The activity resource estimating process receives its input from the scope baseline, activity list, activity attributes, and business environment factors, such as available resources. And the activity resource estimating process produces outputs for the following processes. First, in the case of activity duration estimates, it is not possible to estimate time without knowing the resources. Second, in the case of project schedule, the activity resource estimating process feeds into the schedule model. Third, in the case of cost estimates, labor, material, and equipment costs are the main cost components. Fourth, in the case of procurement management plan, the activity resource estimating process identifies what needs to be procured. Fifth, in the case of resource breakdown structure, the activity resource estimating process provides information for the resource hierarchical chart, useful for tracking and reporting. Here is a detailed breakdown of its importance. 1. Foundation for realistic scheduling and budgeting. This is its most direct impact. The type, quantity, and availability of resources determine. First, regarding activity durations. A senior developer might complete a task in 2 days, while a junior might need 5. You can't know the duration until you know the resource. Second, regarding project costs, labor rates, equipment rental, and material costs are direct inputs to your cost baseline. A plan that doesn't accurately account for these is doomed to exceed its budget. 2. Enables resource optimization and leveling. Once you know what you need, you can identify, first, overallocations. Is the same key person assigned to 2 critical tasks at the same time? Second, underutilization. Are there expensive resources sitting idle? Third, bottlenecks. Is there a specialized piece of equipment that every task needs, creating a queue? By identifying these issues early, you can smooth the resource load, or resource leveling, hire additional help, or resequence tasks to create a more efficient and feasible schedule. 3. Drives procurement planning. The process explicitly identifies which resources need to be procured from outside the organization. This triggers the entire procurement management knowledge area. You can't create a procurement strategy or approach vendors without knowing exactly what materials, equipment, or services you need to acquire. 4. Informs risk management. A detailed resource plan helps identify risks, such as, first, single point of failure. If you rely on a highly specialized resource, this is a significant risk. Second, scarcity. If you have a specific material with limited supply or has long lead times, that's a risk that needs to be mitigated. Third, skill gaps. This identifies when your team lacks a required skill and allows you to plan training or hiring before it impacts the schedule. 5. Enhances stakeholder confidence and sets clear expectations. A project plan with a well-researched resource estimate demonstrates professionalism and credibility. It shows stakeholders that you have thought through the how and provides a clear basis for the requested budget and timeline. It also sets clear expectations for team members about what they will be working with. 6. Provides a baseline for control. You cannot control what you have not planned. The resource estimates become part of your performance measurement baseline. During project execution, you can compare actual resource usage, such as hours and materials consumed, against the plan to identify variances and take corrective action. What are the problems if the estimate activity resources process in the PMBOK planning process group is not executed as needed? If the estimate activity resources process is ignored or executed inadequately, the project plan will be built on a solid foundation. Problems spread to all aspects of the project, almost certainly leading to failure. Here is a detailed breakdown of the specific problems that will arise. 1. Completely unrealistic schedule and budget. This is the most direct impact. Without knowing the resources, you are assuming the duration and costs of activities. As a result, the project schedule and budget baseline become fictitious. You might estimate that a task will take 5 days assuming a senior engineer, but if only a junior engineer is available, it might take 12. The project will immediately and consistently miss deadlines and go over budget, destroying stakeholder confidence. 2. Chronic resource conflicts and overallocations. If you don't know who or what is needed, and when, the consequence is that the same critical resource, such as a person or piece of equipment, will be inadvertently assigned to multiple tasks running simultaneously. This creates immediate bottlenecks, forces project managers to constantly fight fires, and leads to task switching, which drastically reduces efficiency and quality. 3. Inability to acquire resources on time. If you don't know which materials, equipment, or services need to be purchased from outside suppliers, the consequence is that you discover you need a specialized component with a 12-week lead time just a week before you need it. This causes massive schedule delays while you wait. Procurement becomes a reactive, panic-driven process, which often leads to paying high prices and accepting inferior quality. 4. Ineffective risk management. If you're not aware of key resource-related risks, you could face the following consequences. First, single points of failure. You fail to recognize that the entire project relies on a single person with unique expertise. Second, skills gaps. You discover mid-project that your team lacks a critical skill, forcing costly and time-consuming last-minute hiring or training. Third, supply chain risks. You're unaware of shortages or volatility of essential materials. 5. Low team morale and burnout. If team members are assigned tasks without a clear understanding of tool availability, support, or time requirements, the consequence is that teams are doomed to failure. They are asked to meet impossible deadlines with inadequate resources. This leads to frustration, stress, burnout, and ultimately, High staff turnover, which further harms the project. 6. Erosion of stakeholder trust and credibility. If the project manager and team can't provide a credible answer to the simple question, "How will we do this?" the consequence is that as sponsors and clients observe constant delays, budget overruns, and chaotic execution, they lose confidence in the team and the project's viability. This can lead to micromanagement, budget cuts, or outright project cancellation. 7. No baseline for control. If you don't have a plan for which resources should be used, the consequence is that you can't perform variance analysis. If you don't know that you've planned 100 engineering hours, you can't determine whether using 150 hours is a problem. The project becomes unmanageable, you're just reacting to events instead of proactively controlling the work. In conclusion, neglecting the estimate activity resources process doesn't just create a minor paperwork gap, it systematically dismantles the project's ability to succeed. Skipping or rushing this process leads to, first, unrealistic schedules and budgets. Second, constant firefighting due to resource conflicts. Third, unexpected cost overruns. Fourth, low team morale due to overall location. Fifth, high risk of project failure. It transforms project management from a disciplined practice of proactive leadership into a desperate exercise in reactive crisis management. The plan becomes a work of fiction, and the project is almost guaranteed to fail in terms of schedule, budget, and stakeholder satisfaction. As a final message, to call the estimate activity resources process important is an understatement. It is a critical, non-negotiable component of robust project planning. In short, it transforms the project plan from a list of wishes into a viable blueprint for success. This video is finished, but we will have in the next videos. 1. Creation of WBS for different projects using WBS Schedule Pro. 2. Examples of project plans using MS Project. And many more videos. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video and want us to continue with new topics. Subscribe to the channel. All content is free. You can also comment suggesting topics you would like to see on this channel. Thank you.